this evening. Her topic is Poles Apart. Poles Apart by Kathryn.
Do you remember the riots at Cronulla? The utter savagery that occurred at Cronulla when people went out and sought other people they did not know. In 2011 it happened in London, and they were called the Blackberry riots because people used Blackberries by which to communicate, to let people know that where we are, here's the riot, and keep in front of the police. Let's communicate and get this riot underway. Let the gang work well. Let's be successful in brutalising others. The gangs of Cronulla, the gangs of London, it went on for days. Atlanta, after the hurricane. People went to the football stadium for safety against the elements' resources. There they were raped and robbed by the gangs. People turned on one another. Social implosion. And I think perhaps that Redmond Barry in the colony of Victoria in the 1880s was certainly aware of the threat of a lawless society on this emerging colony. And therefore, as a judge and a QC, he held tight reins on the sentences he handed out because he knew the society was in threat of the lawlessness that was continuing outside, and the lawlessness that was almost supported by the population. We know that the bushrangers, Kelly in particular, escaped for years and years and years because people supported and did not die on them. So, Redmond Barry, QC and later Supreme Court judge, was really concerned about creating a civil society where people were safe and educated. Redmond Barry was a descendant of the Irish who came over from Ireland to the colony of Victoria, and he is, if you want to see his like, there's a statue of him in front of the State Library. Go out of Central Station, go across the road, and the Herculean statue of Redmond Barry exists. Victorians don't put up statues to just anybody, or anyone who's just good. They put up statues to people who've made a huge contribution to the society, as did Barry. The thing you're going to be probably more referring to in his name is that he was the judge that sentenced Ned Kelly to hanging for the murder of 3 policemen. Yes, there were outcomes, there was lawlessness, and they murdered and they pillaged in Victorian colonies at the time. Redmond Barry established Melbourne University. The University of Melbourne, the recognised university in the whole of Australia internationally, ranked amongst the top 50, was helped to be established by Redmond Barry. Fancy establishing in a larrikin society a place of glorious learning. What sort of faith is that in the future of generations? He established the City Library, where any person from the bush, from the region, from the city could come in and become a learned person, could gain accreditation, could better their lot in society. We now have libraries littered throughout our society, but fancy establishing the major state library by which people had access to changing their lives. He acted pro bono, free, in the cases of Aboriginal people who were wrongly accused. Now, who at the top of the tree in a colonial society has access to all the resources defends the most marginalised of people? They They were a blight on the landscape, as the attitudes were at that time. But Redmond Barry defended them pro bono. This is a bloke who is of convention but thinks not conventional. He came out on the shelf, the size of from here to the front entry of the library, very confined, and has an open affair with a married woman. What sort of bloke, what sort of character, what sort of spirit is going to do that? He lands, doesn't worry about his reputation, and does carry on a relationship with another woman for decades out of wedlock. He's in the legal profession. He's a top bloke, but he's still operating not conventionally. So this was a man who thought for himself, but he also was totally supportive of a civil society. His apex, the nadir of his career, was to face Ned Kelly. Ned Kelly was well supported in the bush, but here he was on trial for the murder of three policemen, and he faced a judge who was rigid, sought to enforce the law. The outcome of the trial was always known. Kelly always said, I killed him, I shot him. He sought to defend himself. It was either them or me. Those policemen carried body bags, as they did across the horses. But no one's looking for self-defence in the 1890s, or 1880s in Melbourne, in Victoria. What happened was, the sentence was carried out, Kelly was to hang, and in the silence that was in that room, a 25-year-old man whose life was just being extinguished said, and I will see you there where I am going, to Barry. Where does bloke get that rare thought? I will see you there where I am going, to the judge. He was hung, and within 12 days, Barry was dead. Chances a fine thing, but that's the case. Redmond Barry represented civil society. He established a university. He established a library. He established for future generations opportunity to change their lives. Kelly captured the imagination of society. In his letter at Jerilderie, written at Jerilderie, he sought to establish why all these wrongs had happened to him. And it was about police persecution. He certainly was a legend. He certainly was a colourful man. He was a descendant of the Irish, the same as Barry. But Barry's legacy is here in this room. We come here ready in the good faith that anyone who speaks their mind here will be respected. We come here in a sure knowledge that we won't be held down. Civil society is based on the work and contribution of men like Redmond Barry. And here we personify